So just for those of you who don't know, and those of you who maybe learned about Tritype from me years ago, but haven't been aware of how it's refined itself, it's that I no longer think of Tritype as just the three centers, and that by knowing your Tritype, you can see how you're different as a three, perhaps, than another three. So 1-3, like I'm seeing Suzanne has 379. That's the ambassador archetype, Tritype that is trying to include everyone and do fun things, but get things done. It cuts the edges off the 3 in a way. It softens it with a 9. It brings in a playfulness of 7, but there's still a need for completion. Whereas if it's 2-7-9, sure, they may like to get things done in their life, but it's not a fundamental need. The greater need is to have easy relating and connecting with others on a more personal level, whereas the 3-7-9 can do that, but they're really focused on the big picture of people. So I'll just give you 2 paragraphs here. Tritype, a 27-point personality system. It's based on the theory that we all use 3 Enneagram types, not just one, and these are located in each center. So the dominant type of each center. So the head type 5, 6, and 7. We have a heart type and 2, 3, or 4, and a gut type of 8, 9, or 1. But what's significant is that these types are used in a preferred, rapidly oscillating order and a descending order. So there's a dominant type, a second type, and a third type. And initially, when I was teaching it, I'd say when the defense strategy of our dominant type isn't working, we're going to go to the other 2 types. But what was misunderstood is that people took it to mean they stopped being their primary type and then shifted, where in reality, they're always just so rapidly spinning that it's really more what the 3 types together amplify and minimize. So if you have my Tritype, which is, if I say it personally, it would be 8-7-4. That's the order of dominance for me. But the Tritype archetype is the 4-7-8. So when I'm referencing a Tritype itself, it will be from the smallest number, numerical number, to the highest. It's just easier for all of us to communicate. But when we're talking about someone in particular, and in this case, Spencer and I might talk about a client with a particular Tritype or what have you, then we're going to use their Tritype because it is significant, because the lead is still there. So no one loses their primary Enneagram type. You just gain a deeper understanding of all the coping mechanisms you use. So what happens is when these 3 types merge, it creates a new type unto itself, which is why I reference it now as a 27-point system rather than a 9-point system. And each type has a worldview unto itself, its own coping mechanisms based on this amplification or minimization, and the defense strategies. Now, originally, as I said, I had just a few hundred people, like 400 people, until I met more people. I just continued with my research. So extensive research with tens of thousands of international participants has confirmed that each Tritype archetype has the character traits. Now, I'm not talking about behaviors, although there can be some behaviors that are noticeable, but any type can have a good or bad behavior or an interest or a talent or a skill. So we have to look at the character traits to identify these archetypes, because these traits within the Tritype are what emerges when you combine the core fears and the idealized image of each type and the tritype. So with 4, 7, 8, none of these types want to be limited. 4 doesn't want to, 7 doesn't want to, 8 doesn't want to. We all follow our own muse. So if someone has it in their tritype, they may have grown up being told they needed to be more cooperative. But what people don't know is that the 4, 7, 8 is trying to be cooperative, but we're always going to see something that is not included in whatever we're doing. And it's the most future-oriented tritype. It's the most creative tritype, but we have a great deal of trouble staying with something as it is. So I was once asked, like, well, don't you just want to be the person known for the instincts because you did all this research and you're still doing research? But I had already moved on to tritype, and I moved on to micro expressions because I felt, gee, I know these different areas and I wanted everyone to benefit. So that's my experience